Hi team, and welcome to episode 27 of our Quick Connect podcast featuring Hugh Hendrickson and Sophie Radcliffe. You are on CPNZ Media number 172 of the podcasts we've done. I'm your team captain, Richard Greer, and the goal of this podcast is to keep you informed, be connected to each other and the community and the team, and hopefully share a few success stories and learnings from our epic TeamCPNZ community. Before we get to Hugh and Sophie, I've got a couple of quick updates. First of all, our shop is open for Tenali orders. And there's also some teal in there as well. So check out that. There's some singlets, long sleeve tops that we're putting out there as well, and bib shorts, all those sorts of things. So that's open until next Wednesday, the 12th of March. Next key update is our Adventure Squad. The 4th of May is when that kicks off. It's a Sunday. And then 6 weeks later, or maybe it's 5, 8th of June is our second date, and the 20th of July. So basically Adventure Squad, if you haven't heard about it before, we've done a few podcasts on it actually, so maybe go back and have a look at those. But a chance to get out into the hills with a group of others. We break into 3 groups. The top group will be doing some running amongst their day. We'll be into Arthur's Pass and up and beyond, a whole day out into the hills. Basically the bottom line that we say is, can you walk up a hill without stopping, up a steep hill without stopping? So basically we want to kind of keep rolling through. There's definitely obviously some good banter and plenty of snacks to be had as well. So a great fun day out and a good chance to kind of do an event, but it's not really an event, as you kind of share that experience with others. So this is year number 4 of these adventures. So get amongst that, and hopefully you can join us. Our athlete membership card, if you Giant Bikes, Jawbo sunglasses, Tenali bike kit, Evo cycles, Front Runner Colombo, that's it for the I've got it just here, some chamois cream and Asics. So if you are into any of those awesome brands, there's some discounts there that we can help look after you as we go. And obviously these are brands that basically used every one of them last weekend down at the Motatapu that we trust, and they look after us, and we do a bunch of testing for them, I guess, and so do you. On that, Motatapu, what an awesome weekend. Great to have that event, really cranking along. Gemma and the crew put on a great weekend's worth of weather, which was pretty awesome. I did my marathon. I wasn't sure if I was fully convinced about the marathon, to be honest. After you've ridden the valley sort of 3 or 4 times before, what's a marathon going to be like running it? But actually, I'm a convert. I actually really enjoyed it. It was awesome. Great vibes. The grassy section up the top, when you think, oh God, do I want to be here anymore on the bike? Actually really nice running through there, meandering up the valley, which is cool, and really nice terrain for running. Not sure if I should be saying this, and maybe this is the sort of glow of 5 or 6 days later, but I'd almost do it again, to be honest. It was a really cool event, and well done for all those that were down there taking part. I didn't catch up with many mountain bikers because I was still out running. Probably should have been a bit quicker. Lake Canary was on the weekend. There's some people out there doing that classic West Coast triathlon, which is pretty cool. And then also Ironman NZ was on as well. So congratulations to all those people that got round the course, and it was tough for some, especially that Ironman distance event. There's nowhere to hide. She gets pretty honest amongst that, and also the 70.3 team going really well there as well. So pretty cool to see and be part of those success stories. But today on the show, we've got a bit of a double header. We're going to talk to both Hugh Hendrickson and Sophie Radcliffe. So Hugh completed an epic double over the last month by completing his first coast-to-coast longest day, and followed this up with 3 weeks later, had a crack at Taupo Ironman, which was just in the weekend. So we're going to have a chat to Hugh, because that's a pretty mean feat. Before we get to Hugh, though, we're going to have a chat to Sophie. So Sophie Radcliffe completed her first Ironman in the weekend, and in doing so also managed to qualify for the World Champs in Kona this year, which is actually taking up the spot as well. So let's have a chat to Sophie. Team, I'm here with Sophie Radcliffe. On the weekend, Sophie completed her debut Ironman in Taupo, which is pretty awesome, and actually had a pretty good day out by all accounts as well. Sophie, we're a few days after that now. How's the body feeling now?
Pretty good. Definitely the first few days afterwards, I was hobbling around where we were staying. There was actually stairs, and it was just horrific trying to get down the stairs. But now I'm feeling pretty well recovered, and pretty good.
Good stuff. So what approach did you take on those stairs? Was it sort of backwards? Was it sort of sideways, holding the banister, or just slide down on your bum?
Yeah, the side step down 1 foot at a time. Yeah, nice and slow.
Yeah. And a big grimace. Hopefully there's no tears, but hopefully there's no one was laughing at you at the same time.
Oh no, my brother competed as well, so it was sort of us both hobbling down the stairs, holding up the rest of the family.
You guys get underway. You get out to the car. I'll give you 5 minutes just to get down the stairs, and we'll be underway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good. So the whole family was there, were they? So your brother competed as well?
Yeah. So my older brother, he competed. Mum and dad and brother and a few friends came as well, which was quite cool. Yeah, had a lot of support on the course.
Fantastic. That's good. And on that support on the course, like, did that make a difference, or did that, like, or sometimes it can hinder you as well because you're like, oh, right, I better look good at this moment because everyone's cheering me on and watching, and then you go around the corner and go, oh, God, thank goodness that's over.
Yeah,
like, how did that go for you?
It was the sort of 5 minutes of like leading up, knowing that they're going to be just around the corner, sort of preparing myself to look really good, like smiles on. And then as soon as I ran past, I was like, oh, back to it.
To the grind. Were they spread out around the course? Because it's obviously a lap course and you can sort of see people twice a lap effectively. So were they spread out or were they all in one?
They had sort of 2 groups. So my parents and my brother, and then a few of my friends and my partner were in a different place. So that was good. Yeah, had a few different places to expect them.
Yeah. And what feedback, did they give you any feedback afterwards in terms of, Sophie, you were looking really good for the first bit, and then Sophie, oh, she was pretty tough to watch towards the end. Did they give you any feedback about how you were going?
Oh, I tried to stay nice and positive when I saw them, but yeah, definitely. I remember saying to them on the last lap, I said, I was like, this is really hard. And they're like, no, you're doing really well, but no, definitely got much harder towards the end.
Yeah, just wears you down, doesn't it, over time? So let's take a bit of a step back sort of to the start. How were you feeling? How did you feel your preparation went? How did you feel that you was feeling standing on the start line?
On the start line, it was actually a sort of feeling of relief that I'd got to the start line. I wasn't sick. I wasn't injured. You know, like everything sort of went well, and I was healthy on the start line. In a few races leading up to the actual Ironman, I've been really nervous before some of the races, but I actually felt like really calm, like I'd done all of the training that I needed to do, and I was just like excited and ready to race and actually put it into practice what I've been training for.
Yeah, brilliant. So you're in a great place. That's fantastic, isn't it? Like, just prepared. I'm just going to challenge myself and have a go at this today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. And the conditions for the swim, conditions early in the day especially, were pretty good. That must have meant you were pretty excited about getting into it.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I've been for a swim the day before, and that was pretty swelly. So it was actually turning up and the water was completely flat. It was bliss. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And of the 3 disciplines, do you go well in your swim and not so good on the bike, or you're a brilliant runner and sort of have just tried to learn to swim? What's your background and how do your sort of disciplines go in your triathlon?
I guess running actually for me was where I was most confident, which is funny because on the actual day, the run was just terrible. But I'd swum when I was little and, just learned to swim stuff. So I had to relearn how to swim, which I'm not good or bad at, pretty in the middle. And then biking was really like put in a lot of hours on the bike because that's my least confident probably leg of the triathlon. So done a lot of training for the bike, and then I was pretty stoked with how that went. And then the run, it was just putting one foot in front of the other to get towards the finish line.
Yeah, it's good that you're sort of good at running, although it doesn't it's hard to be able to show that when you've got 180 k's under your belt on the bike. It softens you up before you even get started. So that swim, did you place yourself right in the middle of the washing machine, or were you a bit back? How did you approach your Ironman swim?
Well, I'd done a few races leading up to it with a mass start in it because I was quite worried about how the mass start would go. It was just chaos, so many people. I was right in the middle because I put myself in the green zone and
Cool.
the front of the green zone. So it was sort of like the middle of the pack for the swim, and it was just copped a few blows to the head and probably gave out a few, which it was just no way to get around that washing machine.
But how did that did you get off the line okay and round to the first? It's around to the first boys the trickiest, but actually getting started and being calm enough and to actually be able to swim properly as well, and rather than getting too, I guess, anxious, nervous, getting drawn into that stuff too much. How did that go?
Yeah, it probably took about, a couple 100 meters to actually settle into the swim. But once I'd settled into that, it was quite good. It formed like a little pack of people and just sort of sat on someone's toes and just, tried to stay as calm as possible for the start. Yep.
Yeah, be good. How was your navigation on a calm day? That does definitely make it a bit easier to sort of try not to swim any further than you have to.
Yeah, exactly. And the boys were actually really good, and the sun had already risen, so there was no sort of sun strike or anything. So they were quite easy to sight.
Yeah, fantastic. That's good. How were you feeling when you got out of that swim?
Oh, stoked to finish the swim. Yeah. I was just looking forward to the rest of the day, and I sort of had to remind myself in the swim just to take it like discipline by discipline and just enjoy being in the moment, because once I'm out of that swim, I'm not going back. So just sort of pulled myself up and was like, just be in the moment and enjoy the swim while it lasts, because it is the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, good. Did you douse yourself in sun cream heading out onto that bike, because it was a hot day, sunny? What was the plan through the transition?
So I actually I'm quite fair, as you can probably tell. So I'm get very easily sunburnt. So I actually had sunblock in my own transition bag, and they actually provided sunblock as well, which was good. But definitely doused myself in some sunblock behind the neck. Just everywhere. And the volunteers were amazing. They ripped my wetsuit off for me and just, got everything, threw all this stuff out of my bag onto the ground. And that actually was such a smooth process. So, coming out of transition 1 went really well. Yeah.
It's easy to get fired up on that bike, like I'm feeling $1 million and I've got a hill in front of me. What hill? Let's just rip into it. How did you go kind of managing or tempering that enthusiasm? Or maybe you didn't, you just launched into it. How did you go on your bike?
So I had a call with you at the start of the week, and you were like, definitely just sort of settle into it. And because the taper, like, you're feeling pretty good and ready to go. So I sort of just remembered in the back of my head, like, this is going to be like 6 hours at least on the bike. Like, you don't want to rip it all at once in the first hour. So I tried to sort of, look at my numbers, pace myself that first 90 Ks. In my head, I was like, oh, when's this going to get hard? Like, this is awesome.
Good.
And then headed back out to Reparoa. On that last turnaround, the headwind picked up, and it's sort of a little bit more uphill into back into Taupo. But I feel like I evenly split the bike. Like, obviously I was looking forward to coming off it, but I felt like I'd managed my excitement at the start of the bike, which was what I had hoped to do. But was definitely feeling fatigued at the end.
Yeah, good. Just as it all catches up with you. And it's interesting in Taupo, isn't it? It's basically like a sea breeze as you ride back into town on a nice sunny day. The wind is coming away from the lake. So and plus a grindy type of a hill. It can be a bit ugly as you grind back into that. But were you happy with your bike time in the end? How did that end up?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I did like 6 hours and 12 minutes or something like that. I was hoping to do sort of as close to 6 hours as possible. So for the first like 180K bike that I've ever done, and I was pretty stoked with that. I didn't really know what to expect. So I was happy.
Nice. And speaking of biking, you did a bit of biking a few weeks before, 3 weeks before actually, 140 odd Ks in the coast to coast. Did that prepare you at all? Well, I guess you're lined up for another event as well. That's a pretty big weekend too.
So I did the longest day in a team, and I did the bike legs, and that was almost harder because you do your section like the 55K right at the start, and then you have to sit and wait around for the runner to go over the Goats Pass, and then you do your 15Ks or whatever it is. So that did set me up really well, because that you sort of learnt what fatigued legs feel like on the bike. That was a really awesome day. Yeah,
good stuff. It feels like that because it's like broken up into 3 bits. That's more sharp, stabby, ouchy pain versus the Ironman bike riders, kind of a bit more of a dull ache, but you're trying not to dull ache too much because you've still got a marathon to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice. No, that's good. And transition, like more sun cream, please. And then we're out on the bike. How were you feeling? Like that first little bit of through the transition and onto your bike.
So I got into transition 2, and I sort of was like, oh gosh, like now I've actually got to run a marathon, kind of, because I tried to just stay in the moment on the bike and just, soak it up and remember all of my training and why I'm doing this. And so then I got into transition, and the volunteers were there to catch my bike, and I ran in more sunblock, tried to have a bit of a gel in transition, was out on the run course, which was, interesting coming off the bike, definitely. My nutrition hadn't gone super to plan on the bike, so I came off with a bit of a stomach cramps, but overall it was pretty good.
Yeah. Did you eat much food on your, because I mean that's probably one of the key challenges for Ironman, because you're out there, I mean 10 like to 16 17 odd hours, like it's all day. So did you have any food? Because you can probably eat stuff better on the bike than you can running. And a lot of people do have stomach upsets when we're trying to drink lots of drink and it's hot and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. I accessed my personal needs bag, and I had some Vegemite sandwiches in there, which really worked for me, because I just find all of your gels and your carb mix and your electrolytes are all really sweet. And it sort of gets, a bit, I just feel a bit sick if I'm having all sweet stuff. So I put in a wee sandwich in my personal needs bag, which I got through, and sort of had a banana every few aid stations. So I tried to have the solid food as well as getting in the carb mix and stuff and the drinks.
Nice. Question around your sandwich, was it crust on or crust off?
Crust on.
Crust on? Okay. I need to start a poll. Okay. Did you eat your crust? You didn't throw your crust away?
No, I ate everything. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good on you. Nice work. And then we've already talked a bit about your run around, your support and stuff, but it is when it gets hard, proper hard, and you probably don't want to be there any longer. How did you, obviously you've got some support going on there, but how did you kind of get through that for yourself? Because I mean, an Ironman is proper honest. Like we talked a moment about coast to coast. There's lots going on there. It's quite busy and there's different stuff to think about, but it's just you and the road, and you've just got to keep on one foot in front of the other. How did you get through that?
So I split up the run. Originally, I had in my head it's 4 10Ks, and then that seemed just too much to think about. Like the thought of running 42Ks was just too much. So I ended up splitting it up into run between the aid stations, and then walk the aid station, get your nutrition on board, and then set off again. And I found that was quite good. And I just took that really small goals to make it seem doable. Which worked for me. And then just obviously remembering like why you're doing it, or your training, because it's just you and your thoughts, and it can get pretty hard. So just remembering all of that.
Yeah, good job. That's fantastic. And there's a picture I put up for everybody at the end of your event. cooked toast, 1 being burnt toast. You probably throw it straight in the bin. 9 being it's just lightly toasted. How toast were you at the finish line?
Probably a 3. I was pretty toast.
Okay, 3. That's not too bad. You're still like that's still edible toast. You're still like it's dark, but it's not overcooked. You could probably feels like you might have another couple of Ks in you. Would that be fair?
Yeah, you're still running on when I came around that corner and you could see the finish line and stuff. You're just running on pure adrenaline crossing that finish line. Wasn't until sort of a couple hours later where I really just was like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah, no, that's rough. And have you got your medal? You're not wearing your medal today, Sophie.
No, it's hanging up. It has got a wee.
Okay, that's right. But you also you also qualified for Kona as well. That's part of your story too that we wanted to sort of celebrate, I guess, today is that you did super well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was on the run course and my mum called out to me and she's like, oh, you're coming second. And I was like, oh, like, no, I'm not. Like, this is not. But yeah, managed to hold on to that and then finished up second in my age group and then qualified for Kona, which was so cool. Like that was never sort of like in the back of my head, I was like, oh, one day, like I'm still really young. Like I'll keep doing these Ironman events and see, what happens one day. But yeah, to qualify on my first race was pretty unreal. And my brother actually qualified as well for the World Champs in Nice. So that was pretty cool as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness, how good. So what happens now with the family, like with you guys?
Wow, I don't know. See who wants to go, and yeah. So it's pretty cool.
So you've both taken your slots to go, right, we're going to go and do this?
Yeah.
Amazing. That's cool. So you get to go to Kona, he gets to go to Nice. So when are the World Champs? When are they both happening?
His one's in September, and then Kona is in October.
Yeah, brilliant. So I guess one of the things is like, would you ever do another one again? But Sophie, you already signed up for your next one.
Yeah. So yes, I am doing another one.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. That's awesome. So like 1 or 2 key learnings that you take away from this day that you had that you want to kind of maybe tidy up? Every experience is different, obviously, but what are 1 or 2 things you'd look to sort of improve upon?
Definitely to improve on is probably the nutrition side of things. Like it's just such a long day to navigate, like, getting enough carbs, but then also balancing the fine line of too many, or then your stomach cramps and your upset tummy. So definitely nutrition. I guess a key takeaway probably is that like there's always more in you. Like coming around that last lap 10Ks, I was like, oh, this is going to be such a battle, but just keeping on, putting one foot in front of the others, just, you can always do more.
Yep. Yes. Even if you don't really want to, you can. Just stay in the moment. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. And it sounds like you did a really good job of that. Stay in the moment. Keep on doing me now as best as I can. Just get to the next aid station.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good stuff. And celebrating, Sophie. Obviously, you weren't celebrating with many steers on the weekend, but have you got a little bit of time off now? What's happening now?
Back to work, and then just have a few weeks off structured training, and then probably get back into it for the winter.
Yeah, good. That's awesome. Hey, so good. Thank you so much for sharing, and absolutely stoked that you had a good day out. And as I mentioned, it's pretty hard to thread the needle to sort of figure it out and do super well. And really excited for you, and all the best for Kona. Look forward to following your journey, and just enjoy relaxing and basking in your glory for a few days.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good stuff. Well done, Sophie.
Thanks. See you.
Just like that, must be something in the Weet-Bix and that family. Both of them qualifying for the World Champs. So well done, Sophie, and congratulations also. I didn't mention at the top of the show, also did the longest day coast-to-coast rides as well. So Sophie has had a very big month as well. But speaking of big months, we've got Hugh on the line. Hugh has, as I mentioned, coast-to-coast Ironman double. Let's have a chat to Hugh. Hi team, I'm here with Hugh Hendrickson. Hugh, how are you getting on today?
Oh, very good, thank you. Very good. I think today's the first day that I can say I've recovered.
Okay, how good.
Saturday, so that's what, four days of recovering, and today's the 5th day. So yeah,
You'd say you recovered. That's not bad. Sometimes for me, I think soreness. Sometimes if you last it into a 6-day period, then you're probably pretty beaten up. But 4 days, I'd say that's definitely a win.
Yes. Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So you're better than average, which is good. You look pretty relaxed here on a sunny Blenheim day.
Yeah. It's pretty bright out here, but yeah, it's blue sky. I cannot see a cloud.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You've done very well.
Chickens are hanging around my feet, so sorry if they take over the microphone.
No, that's good. Well, we won't talk too much about chickens. The reason why I've got you on the podcast today, Hugh, is that you've had a big summer. We got in touch middle of last year at some point, and the goal was to do the double, and the double being coast to coast, followed by Ironman. And it's not just any coast to coast, but it was coast to coast longest day, followed by obviously the full Ironman just 3 weeks later. So I guess the first question out of that is, I was going to say, would you do it again? Maybe we won't ask that question, but would you recommend it to someone else?
Yeah. I think yes, I would recommend it to someone else. So I think the way that we approached it, Richard was my coach through this. Was that I was keen to have a really good crack at the coast to coast, and then pretty much I guess have a go at the Ironman, have a good crack at the Ironman, and so what that meant was that after coast to coast was a pretty relaxed couple of weeks, and then it was just tweaking a few things with my equipment, and then it was just having a good go at the Ironman, and the fitness that I sort of generated and my training for coast to coast did carry me through. It was tough, but yeah, it got me through. So yeah, I've left feeling content, sore but content.
So it sounds like that's a tick. We're happy with that. I don't necessarily need to go and do it again. Would that be fair?
For the Ironman, yeah. I'm in that boat at the moment, but it's still a little bit raw.
It's a wee bit soon. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's good. But it was about freshness, really, wasn't it? To go and do your next job, turning up to the Ironman, knowing that actually I'm as fit as I can be. And if I'm fresh and healthy and ready to go, well, then I'm going to have a good day at Ironman.
Yeah. Bang.
Nice. Yeah. How did they're two quite different events, though, aren't they? Yes, they involve, I've obviously got swimming versus kayaking, but the biking and the running components. How did you find on the 2 race days that they differed for you?
Yeah, so I think the overall the vibes that I've been left with is that Ironman was it's the emphasis is really on the iron part of it, and it's like the iron mind. There's just much less variety generally, and you are with yourself for a lot more of it. Swimming, you're obviously not talking to other people around you. Bike, you're technically not allowed to be within 10 meters of the next person. But that all changes, I guess, when you start running, because it's an out and back, and there's support everywhere for you. But by that stage, you're too sore. Well, I was too sore anyway. And so I was quite in my own head at that stage. So yeah. Whereas the coast to coast, you're running through some of the most gorgeous parts of the country. So for me, that's really motivating. And you're talking to people around you, and you've got support crew as well, who are they're having their own day, whether it's good or bad, so it's good to check in with them, and really interesting to see how they're going compared to how you are, and you're getting food along the way as well that you want to eat. So I'd say coast to coast is much more varied.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, no. It's interesting that you say it's more social, because they do call the coast to coast the loneliest day too, the longest day version of it anyway. But yeah, a couple of years ago, I did exactly the same thing you did, but I wasn't quite as hardcore as what you did. I only did the 2-day and then the Ironman, whereas you've done the longest day. You've done there's always one guy that does a little bit more, don't they? So but I've done the same thing. Like, I was, by the time I got to the like, couldn't talk to anyone on the swim, couldn't talk to anyone on the bike, but by the time you got to the run, actually I couldn't talk to anyone anyway because I was cooked, and you're just sort of doing eyebrows or thumbs up as much as I could give out at that stage. As you talked about, that iron mind comes in as well. How did you go nutritionally in Ironman? Like, that's a big part of the event, and I guess how did that compare to your coast to coast? You talked about you were getting any food that you wanted. How did you manage that for you? Because, I mean, there were a number of people in Ironman that really battled with that. There was people throwing up. There's people sort of just having stomach upsets for whatever reason. How did you go about managing that?
Yeah, look, well, I got to the end of it. I didn't want any food, but I don't know if that's because I wasn't hungry or if I had eaten too much. At each aid station, I pretty much utilized it to its full extent. Like, I took on a lot of food, but I suspect it may have been too much. To be honest, I didn't have much of a plan, and other than get as much as I can from the aid stations in Ironman. So yeah, and that probably comes out of just not having trained in those sort of spaces. So for Ironman, as I alluded to earlier, but with coast to coast, it was much more planned because you sort of have to, you have to take all your own nutrition and food with you. So I'd say for coast to coast, I was much more planned compared I was to Ironman. And incidentally, maybe I was feeling a little bit more crook at the end of Ironman, but also that could have just been indistinguishable from the fatigue that I was feeling at the time.
Yeah. So it's a nice approach, the smorgasbord approach, actually, which therefore I think a lot of nutrition is actually about variety, having a few different options, and you're not actually sure what you're going to have, but we're going to have a bit of this and a bit of that to kind of get you through and kind of have a bit of an idea of what you need to do, and then kind of make it up as you go. So you've done really well there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's right. And the smorgasbord approach is easy, but that also takes practice in itself to work out what you like. And the next step after that, is you've got this whole smorgasbord, but then refining it to what you actually need that takes time and it takes training. And I just didn't put that effort into Ironman. I put all my bandwidth and effort into coast to coast. So. Still not unhappy with the result,
No, you've done very well. So the other trick with this event is that you've got kayaking versus swimming. So you actually had 5 disciplines to train for. You've got your biking and your running. We've got some swimming and some kayaking plus some strength training. So that's the. But you also played hockey during the winter too. So you could almost call that 7. But how did you go with managing the kayaking, the swimming for you? Because from my perspective, I think you did a great job of that.
Okay, yeah. So, with the swimming, I started swimming in December of 2023, and through the most of 2024, that was all in the mornings.
Yeah.
So a quick session, couple of sessions before work during the week, and then kayaking was after work, and so that was my own strategy. And then once summer came around, fortunately, there's quite a few sort of open water swimming resources that I've got close by. So at Lake Rotuiti, I spent lots of the summer break up there, so the Christmas holiday break up there, and and that's where I got a lot of my open water swimming sort of technical training.
Yeah.
Complete. But yeah, I'd say the swimming was definitely. I found it quite different, and I found it probably that it was definitely the steepest learning curve out of all those disciplines over this last year or so. It's quite difficult.
You've done very well though. You've done an excellent job of that. So what was your swim time in the end?
It was an hour 9, which I was stoked with. Actually, it was I think a lot of people actually had quite a fast swim. It was a dead calm lake, and I was very happy with it. It was about 10 minutes quicker than I thought I was going to come in. So
you've done well. That's good. And bike time.
Celebrating as I was coming up the hill. Yes, my day's over. The hard bit's over.
And actually, I've got 180 k's to run on my bike. Let's ride to Timaru. So how did your bike go? How did your run go? What were your times that you ended up doing in those? And were you happy with them?
So the bike was going really well until 170 kilometers out of 180 where I got a flat. And that was a bit of a bummer, but it was on the last climb on the way back into town. So it was about halfway up that. So I actually got a nice wee break halfway through that. I lost maybe 15, 20 minutes of faffing there. But I used my CO2 gas canister to pump up the new tire that I put on. And that didn't work because for one reason or another, technical issues. When I took off the gas canister, the whole thing deflated. So I was thinking, oh no, that was my last canister. That's my day over. But I was sitting there and looked at the next bunch coming past me, and the very next person who came past me, he said, "Oh, do you want some gas? Do you want a gas canister?" And I said, "Oh yeah." And so he quickly threw me one, and that was my day back on.
God, that's awesome, isn't it? And he didn't even stop.
He just thought there. He threw and an empty gel packet at me as well, and I was like, "Thanks, man." So that guy saved my day.
Yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? And that's the key thing, isn't it? With both of these events, it's a camaraderie. It's you use the vibes around Taupo, you use the support crew and the fellow competitors when you're out there on the course to help you through that, and that's part of the fun of this stuff, isn't it? Being part of the whole community.
It would have taken me a lot longer to finish the race had it not been for the people around me and their encouragement and positivity. So, it's quite plain to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you wearing your medals still? What's happening there? Because the two quite big medals there, Hugh. They could tip you forward and put you off balance.
Oh no, they're hanging over the curtain rails, and those curtain rails they're going to start to bend soon with all the events that you end up ticking off.
Might need to put some sort of support structures in there to help your curtains stay up.
Running out of places.
So what's next for Hugh? What are you up to now? Obviously, well and truly in the top paddock for the moment. 4 days later, and he's starting to think that maybe I could go for a run. What are you up to now? Well, hockey season has started. So back into training for that. Then tomorrow, the ballot comes out for the coast to coast. So that I think that's going to guide my focus for the year largely. So if you don't get a ballot, does that mean you're on the start line of Ironman again?
No, it does not.
Okay.
I suspect that may be a one and done for Ironman, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, you did very well. Yeah, sorry, Kieran.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah. No, there's this little thing called God Zone.
Okay.
That's happening in Marlborough later this year.
Yep.
that I want to do some research on, and check if that's a possibility. Just with my training and the equipment that I have and the people around me, see if there's a team interested. But yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing to at least look into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it will be coast to coast will be number one priority, really.
Yeah, nice. So it's nice to like the mental toughness that you've gained from your summer that you've just had is pretty awesome, and yeah, lots of exciting adventures on the cards going forward. And a big congratulations for the last month or so that you've had. There's a lot of organisation and gear and support people around you, and to get you through this, and obviously you doing the hard yards to make the day as best as you can, and then also recover super well. So yeah, you should be basking in your glory and putting your feet up for a bit, and you've done super well. It's cool to be part of your journey.
Oh yeah, no, thanks, Richard. Yeah, it has been it's been a very focused summer, actually. Yeah, and it's been really cool to see, I guess, how far I have come. But then the addiction part of it is I don't quite know how high the ceiling is. So
yes.
So I'm still keen to dabble and keep pushing myself. To see what potentially what a whole year of training can do, rather than just than a quick 6 month one summer stint. Yeah.
Good stuff. No, that's awesome. Well done. Okay, well, you look after yourself and put your feet up, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks so much.
Cheers. Well done to you.
Right.
Just like that, with well done to Hugh, well done to Sophie, well done to all those people that are out there doing it. As I mentioned the other week, we've got so many different stories and content to share. We'll be plugging away through, hopefully catching up with lots of you over the next wee while as well. So keep out there, adventuring, enjoying yourself, challenging yourself, putting your toe on the start line, and we'll look forward to catching up with you all next week. Cheers, team, and over and out.